On a crisp October Saturday, with the 2008 presidential election just 17 days away, these 6 women, unknown to each other, gathered in a local town hall in northeastern Pennsylvania to talk about the candidates, the issues, and the future of their country.
This election, I think, for a lot of people was really up in the air from the beginning. So I think Pennsylvania is a major key state. We have a lot of electoral votes out there, and I think that Pennsylvania, it's an important state. Every state at this point is an important state in this race.
Do you all agree?
Well, even this year we were important for the primary, and that hasn't happened in all the years that I can remember voting, that we were all of a sudden a state that was targeted and people visited and people came even to Wilkes-Barre. So it's been exciting all along, so I hope it continues, except for the TV ads.
Yes.
I think the western part of the state is pretty much Republican at this point. So the Pittsburgh, Johnstown, Erie areas are a toss-up. I think this state can be considered factionalized, at least relative to the western part. I think here in the northeastern part, it's pretty much given that we are blue, and historically that's been true as well. I don't think Pennsylvania is a shoo-in right at this point. I still think there's some major battles that need to be won for the Obama campaign. I think that people, my husband included, is still a fence sitter who still needs to hear that definitive statement from either candidate that will sway his vote one way or the other. And I still think there are people out there who are of like mind, that they are not convinced one way or another. So I don't think that Pennsylvania is a shoo-in at this point. I think it's a true battleground.
That's what I agree, because I'm not decided, and I know that it's a fight right down to every voter right now, because like you said, half the state is still Republican on the western side, and this side we're very strong blue, so it's going to be right down to like the end of the night, tell what we are.
And I have heard people say that they are so undecided at this point that they may not know until they go into the booth and close that curtain.
And somehow I find that almost hard to believe, because the choices are so very different, that someone could be undecided at this point. I think they haven't done their homework.
What do you think what do they talk about? What issues do they talk about where I'm not hearing this from either of the candidates?
Well, it's very interesting, because what I find really disturbing is, and I have to say that I agree with Anita, that many people are going on some kind of a gut response, or who's prettier, or who's a better orator, as opposed to looking at the issues and not just saying, hey, what's going to make the next 4 years easier on me? You have to look at this big picture and say, we have a whole package to look at, and we can't have the immediate gratification of who's going to do the best thing for us right now. We have to say, what is going to be best for the country as a whole? And does it mean that we have to take some bad tasting medicine to get there? Forget about who looks great on the camera and who's a better orator and who's in better health, or who does this, who does that. Think about the package that they represent, and what is the opportunity and the likelihood that those things that they're putting out on the table will ever make it through a Congress to be of any consequence to us. Yeah, I think people need to do more homework. They need to understand what the issues are and what the proposals are to resolve those issues. Just because something is old and it's worked, or it hasn't worked, or because something is all brand new, that's not a reason to go for it. Sit down and do your homework and at least make an informed decision. This is very, very important.
Do you all feel like you have done your homework?
I don't think I have. I have to be honest. I don't think I have. I'm just a 30-year-old African-American woman who has been living in America, and I've seen coming from the urban community, I can speak from the disadvantages that we have. So I think everybody speak from a standpoint of, okay, this is my life, this is what works for us, this is what works for me, it doesn't work for me, but I absolutely not. I know I haven't done the homework, but it's so critical right now in this country that you have to be walking around almost in a zombie state of mind to not want to get involved. You understand what I'm saying? You have to be walking around
Absolutely.
and sleepwalking or walking dead to not want to get involved, because there's so much going on in the country, and we're all living in this country together, regardless of where you come from, what you represent, who you represent, what's your sexuality, what's your nationality. We all wake up, and one day we're all going to die. And so I feel like we all have to step up and kind of be involved and take a stand, whatever that stand may be. We all have differences, but at the same time, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come today, because I said, if anything, I'll be educated when I leave.
We've been hearing a lot about Scranton, obviously, because Joe Biden comes from Scranton. This area of Pennsylvania, how does it feel to hear it mentioned so often, to hear it mentioned in skits on SNL, to hear all the candidates talk about it in the debates? What does it feel like?
I'm proud. This area was built on the hard work of many, many people, and because we've fallen on hard times because of the death of Old King Cole, but we've picked ourselves up by the bootstraps, and I am not unhappy to be living where I live. I'm not unhappy to say I'm a native of the area, or embarrassed or ashamed. I'm not ashamed to say my dad was a coal miner and we grew up hard and things were tough, but here we are. I drive a nice car. I have a nice home. I think this place is one of the best places in the country to raise a family and to live. We just got hit with reassessment, which is going to be harder for a lot of people to hang on to what they've got, as humble as that may be. And we will weather that storm as well. But I plan on staying here. We were talking before about moving out of the area when we retire. And I have no intentions of moving anyplace. I happen to love where I live. And I'm very proud to say I'm from Northeastern Pennsylvania. And I'm glad that when the media does come here, despite the fact we get some negative press relative to the Rust Belt and all of those kind of negative connotations to this area, but I take them with a grain of salt, because the people who are making them are not the people who have spent any great deal of time here. But I'm proud to say Joe Biden is from Scranton. And I think what's significant, because our area can be very, very parochial and very regional, that when Joe Biden says Scranton, he doesn't say Lackawanna County, he says Scranton. And if you travel other places and people ask where you're from, you'll say, I'm not from Wilkes-Barre, but I'll say Wilkes-Barre because it's a place that people will recognize. So I think the notoriety and the significance that Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden are not ashamed to say they have ties to this area. For them, it's like a badge of honor. And I think I'm very proud of that. I don't think any of us have anything to be ashamed of because we live in Northeastern Pennsylvania.
The only problem with living in Northeastern Pennsylvania, and I love living here too, and I think you get great value. We could never live the way that we do if we were somewhere else. Great place to raise a family, but now that my kids are growing up and graduating from college, I see that there is no opportunity for them, and they have to leave. They have to go someplace else, or they can stay here and work in some kind of a service industry. I mean, there are jobs. It's not that there aren't any, but there are not many, and there are not good ones. And so, unfortunately, our best and our brightest, and maybe someday my future grandchildren will live in another state.
Treat, what do you plan
sad.
on doing? Do you plan on staying?
I plan on coming back. I will have to go away to law school, and I'm very comfortable. This is my comfort zone. I'm a little hesitant to go away to law school because I am very proud of being from Scranton, and I just, you lose a sense of identity when you go away, and I don't want to lose that. And I see a lot of people jumping ship when they graduate from college. That there is not a lot of professional jobs here, and that's something that I did want to see bring back to more rural, I don't want to say rural areas, but more areas like Scranton, all across the country, is that that way we could keep our bright coming out of college, So.